Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of OMEA Backstage Pass. Did you know that OMEA annually publishes one of the leading music education research journals called Contributions to Music Education? Publishes a quarterly membership-driven digital magazine called the TRIAD, and now a bi-weekly blog called the TRIADTonic. I am OMEA Executive Director Jay Wardeska, and in this episode I will be joined by the editor of TRIAD, who also serves as an OMEA trustee, and is responsible for overseeing our digital magazine and our new blog. These are two outstanding services that we are very proud of, and services that we hope that you will take advantage of. Well, thanks for joining us, Stephanie. Stephanie Bonitz is she serves OMEA as a member of the Board of Trustees and as the editor of our journal that we're very proud of, the TRIAD. A lot of people, what I've learned in my short time with OMEA, a lot of people don't really even understand who the leadership, who the leaders are of OMEA and how decisions are made and what different positions are required for us to be a success. And sometimes they don't know whether you teach or you don't teach. So I think it'd be great if you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Stephanie, maybe a little bit about your career, what you do now, where you teach, and then kind of how you got involved in being a leader of OMEA.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Jay. I am so happy to be here, and I'm in my 19th year of teaching. So just started that out. I'm the director of bands at Streetsboro City Schools. And prior to my employment there, I worked as the director of bands and choirs at Magator Local Schools. And started my career out actually at Eden Northwest Local Schools in Northwest Ohio. And that was a wonderful experience, a wonderful community. And I really kind of, you work hard in those first couple of years to just kind of get your footing. But I also developed a lot of really good relationships with my colleagues, the other directors in the other school districts around me. And we supported each other a lot. And so when I moved back to Northeast Ohio, I really felt like that community, that connection, trying to provide mentorship and a voice for young teachers was really important. So when I had the opportunity to attend the Charles Benner Leadership Academy, I jumped on it immediately. And it was like the greatest thing I had ever experienced. And from there, I ended up getting the opportunity to serve District 6 as the president for a few years pre-COVID and then a little bit during COVID. And then finally was kind of asked, hey, would you be interested in serving on the trustees as secretary? So I was elected to that position in 2023. And in 2025, I was asked, do you want to take on the TRIAD? And I thought, you know what? This is a fantastic opportunity for me. And I just jumped on it. So here I am today. In addition, yeah, no, thank you. In addition to all of that, I serve OMEA as an adjudicator, which I think was one of the best moves I made as a music educator. Every time I have adjudicated, there's just this wonderful light bulb moment of seeing kids be successful. And I feel that same way serving on our trustees as well.
I love that. I think that's probably one of the most important points is the fact that, the passion for education is really what drives us all in the work we do. So before we get into the TRIAD, the work of the trustees, a lot of people really, as I mentioned, I don't think they understand the leadership structure and that there are essentially that hopefully the way this works is that we're a government for our members, so to speak, and that we're all a team, and that, if people have ideas or concerns or questions, that's why we're all here to try to address those. So maybe you can talk first about especially since you've had 2 terms, what the trustees actually do and what you wish people knew maybe about the trustees and the state board and those parts of our operations.
Yes, our trustee organization is our president-elect, the treasurer, editor of the TRIAD, and the secretary, in addition to working with the executive director. And we're a group of volunteers. And part of our job is to work with the state board, which is all of the elected officials from each of the districts and regions, and to come up with different ideas and innovations as we progress through our school year. It is to work with our adjudicated events committee on the all of the events and the engagement with our membership. We are really the upper tier of individuals in the organization who try to help the educators across the state and serve really the state board and the membership.
Great, exactly. Well, the reason we asked you here was to talk about the TRIAD and also your new initiative. And I know we all get a little frustrated with the fact that we have such a magnificent journal, and sometimes people don't seem to know that it exists or don't access it quite as much as we would wish that they do. And I think we all know part of that is the ever-changing landscape of communication and technology and all of those things that affect that. But maybe you could talk a little bit about the TRIAD, how people can access it when it comes out, when there's a new issue, all the things that go into it, so that our listeners kind of understand why we have this journal that we should be proud of.
Yeah, the TRIAD is our kind of seasonal publication. It comes out in the fall, winter, and the spring. Our next issue is actually going to come out October 1st. So our deadline for submissions, if you're interested, is August 31st. And my job as the editor is to collect articles from not only higher education, our membership, inspiring stories, what's going on in the school districts, tips you might have for educators across the state of Ohio. I essentially compile all of that information and organize it in a way that would work very well for the magazine. I also work with our business director, Bill Whitman, on ad placement and how that will work with the magazine. And then we send that on to our company, Reads. It's in California, who puts the finishing touches on it. They do the layout of it after I have sent them essentially our digital layout with articles, the links to different type of media that we use. A lot of the position is reaching out to our membership to try and get those articles and those ideas. And I typically do that 2 to 3 months before publication, constantly emailing, reaching out to different colleges and universities to get their higher education updates, and then also updates that they might have as resources for our educators. Yeah, and that really kind of comes down to it in terms of what I do throughout the year. There's quite a bit of editing and fine-tuning some of the articles to get them to the right position for our publication. But it's a wonderful and really invigorating position on the trustees.
What kind of qualifications do people need to have in order to submit an article for the TRIAD, or topics, or like what are things that people might not know if they are the right people to submit something for publication?
That's a great question. So I feel like really anybody can submit. We've had scholarly articles where people are using maybe graduate research or their doctoral research and putting that into an article, kind of making a synopsis of it. We've had folks who have given bits of opinion pieces, or, hey, this was something really special that happened last holiday season in my classroom. And so it's a combination of a lot of different articles. And Our sound strategies section of the TRIAD, we typically try to keep that as teaching in practice or kind of special stories. Our feature articles, we tried to keep those to be some scholarly articles, but it really is whatever we get submitted, we try to arrange that in a really nice way. We also have a teaching in action section of the TRIAD, and that can be submissions from, let's say, your honors festival and a little brief statement about how that went. And so we really take anything. And there's only been a few instances where I've had to say, let's go back and revisit this. But yeah.
Great. And I know there's for example, I submit a column to you every issue. Are there other kinds of information that are sort of a staple of every issue where people might find it interesting that they can keep up on things?
Yes. So one of the things I didn't mention with that is we have article submissions from not only our executive as well as some of the staff on OMEA. We also have our affairs chairs who submit articles, and our allied organizations have been really great about giving us updates about what they're doing each season. So you can kind of see articles and information from OCDA, OSTA, all kinds of things.
Great. So a perfect place for people to go and perhaps get answers to questions or new tips and all those good things. I know since you've been on the trustees and since I've been executive director, one of the things that we've been chasing is how best to communicate and get information to people and provide them with as much support as we can. And out of that came a new idea that you dreamed of that now has come to life, which is called the TRIADTonic. And I'm curious if maybe you could tell everybody sort of what was your vision behind the launching of the TRIADTonic and how you hope that it will serve the membership and music teachers in general.
So I think it goes hand in hand with the idea of engagement and collaboration and community. And it goes back to when I first started teaching and craving more information. And, 20 years ago, it's way different than what we see today. And we have so much at our fingertips. But for OMEA to be able to provide something that gives regular communication to our educators across Ohio and is open to any educator, anyone, even our administrators, other teachers, just lay people in the around the state can check it out and see what's going on across all the school districts in Ohio. What are some exciting and inventive teaching tips and tools that we can use as educators. And so I really wanted this to be something that everyone could share, everyone could enjoy, and we would have a really good piece of engagement with our community.
So it's obviously somewhat of a companion to the TRIAD. Can you talk about how it's different? How often there might be new content that comes out from it, how people can access it and find it and subscribe?
Yes. So our articles come out every 2 weeks. And so bi-weekly is what our goal is. We may do a little bit more, but the bi-weekly submissions I think will be great throughout the school year. We put them out on Sundays. So as I've told some people, it's a way to kind of get yourself out of the Sunday scaries and maybe into how can I apply some of these tools in my teaching week. So maybe just reinvigorating us enough that we have a really great start to our week. You can actually find this on our OMEA page if you just log on. Now there's a button right there, so you can jump onto our latest article and see what's happening with the page. Great.
And what can people expect in terms of content? You talked about that a little bit, but is there, are there announcements, news articles? What kinds of things? I know you've had some interesting retrospective type of articles already that were interesting to read.
Correct. So not only have we pulled from the archives of the TRIAD We will have some things that come out in the blog that are pieces that were in the triad, but in addition, we're trying to fill it with more articles from everyone. And so I'm really excited. I just pitched to our editorial committee, hey, I want to do a top 10, kind of like David Letterman, the top 10. So maybe a top 10 tips for your winter concert program, top 10 tips for starting the school year off fresh, So that's kind of a new idea that I'm working on. In the coming months, we're going to have a lot of different articles from across the United States. So one of the things I've worked on is getting some different scholarly articles from college professors, ranging from Colorado to Oklahoma. And so we're getting quite a bit of content in that way, in addition to what our membership is providing as well. So I'm really excited to put those pieces out here in the coming weeks.
That sounds great. I love the idea of ideas from across the country. One of the things that I think is we sometimes panic about something that it turns out somebody else already has a solution for. So I love that fact that you're engaging with people from across the country. What do you see, engaging with the triad? What do you hope members can get out of it besides, obviously tips? What are you hoping to accomplish really with it, in addition, as a companion to the triad?
I think the most important part of this is engagement and connection. And so maybe we read an article that really sparks something in us, and we can say, hey, I want to comment on that. I want to share it. I want to reach out to the author. Some of the authors are excited to have that type of dialogue and collaboration with educators. And so just deepening our connection throughout the state. In addition, I'd like to add in some more engagement pieces. So some different, forms and questions about like, what would you like to see? Or how do you feel about X, Y, and Z, as some sound off questions and ways to connect more with our educators as well. And so I think it's evolving. And as we continue working on this blog and putting it out to the masses, I think I'm really excited about some of the new changes that we'll have coming in the future.
Yeah, I think it's great. One of the things that I really enjoy about it is the ability to subscribe to it, so that, because I don't always think to go read something on a website, but if I get a notification saying, hey, there's a new article, then I can look at what it is and go read it. I think that's a great feature that I hope people will take advantage of.
Right. And it's not something where we are like spamming your box every time. It's a bi-weekly, hey, here's an email with our feature article. You can click on it and go in. So try not to be overbearing, because we have enough emails and everything else that comes through our systems all the time. So this is something that's just delicately placed in your inbox.
Well, I know you touched on this a little bit, but maybe you can give people some specific information about how they can go about submitting articles for either of these publications.
Yes. So submissions for articles is really going to be on the website. So you can access our publications in the triad, and our submission form is there. If you click on the triad, you'll scroll down and you'll see submit an article. There are some submission guidelines that are recommendations for our submissions. And I try to kind of, as the editor, adjust articles to fit those guidelines. So I help out people who are submitting in the process so that we can make sure that it fits the model. But they can submit an article. Anything that they submit is considered for the triad and is also considered for the blog as well. So we take everything and all.
Well, I have such pride for how fabulous the triad looks, and the new TRIADTonic I think is great. Or tonic triad, sorry, I always say it backwards. The work that you've been doing, and the work that Hillary laid the groundwork for as we transitioned to reads, people don't have any idea how much work really went into that process, and how the two of you have built a system together that will live hopefully in perpetuity. And we hope that people continue to take advantage of it. I get a lot of the journals from across the country, and so it makes me even more proud of the product that you're all putting out every quarter. As I mentioned, as we all know, communication is the hardest part. I think we get just inundated with so many emails, particularly in text messages, that sometimes people just get frustrated with that. But I think what you've provided is options for people so they can pick perhaps the system that works best for them so that they're not overwhelmed.
Yep. Yeah,
so
I agree.
Well, I can't thank you enough for all you do and for the great work that you've done with this triad and with I think the triad, or the tonic triad, is amazing. TRIADTonic. I did it again. So once I learn the title of the blog, we'll be in great shape. But I really think hopefully people will get a benefit from it once they start to engage. So thanks for your time today. I know that you're taking your time out of busy marching band season getting started and getting ready to start school. So we appreciate the compromises that you have to make and the sacrifices that you do to be a selfless servant for OMEA.
Thank you. And thank you for the kind words, Jay.